thought I cooked in the draft. Isaiah Pacheco looking like a workhorse, breaks his leg. He's out 6 to 8 weeks now. I drafted DeAndre Swift in the running back dead zone. Big mistake. He looks like a complete fart. He's going to lose his job to probably one of the most boring running backs we have in the NFL. Jonathan Brooks, who I drafted, he's on IR. Hopefully he comes back and actually has a role. I need help, bro. I am 1 health point, 1 HP. I need help. In this video, we're going to talk about some running backs that we should either buy or sell. We need to make some moves, man. We're going to break down their stats. We're going to look at some tape. We're going to look at their metrics. I'm also going to look at some recent real trades that went down on fantasycalc.com. Yesterday, I did wide receivers. Today, I'm doing running backs. If you guys get some value from this video or you just sharing some of my misery, bro, you're looking to make some moves, hit me up with a like and a sub. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel. It's the best way to show support. Go in the comments. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with some of these picks. Let's jump into these players, man. So the first player that we have on this list is going to be Brian Robinson. So Brian Robinson has been kind of a stud this year. I know he hasn't really popped off for like a multi-touchdown or like a big yardage game. He hasn't really pieced them together, right? So he goes 12 for 40 in week 1 with a touchdown. Pretty poor yards per carry. Not a lot of running room in week 1 against Tampa Bay. That's to be expected with Vita Vea playing. Week 2, he goes 17 for 133, doesn't get into the end zone, still does pretty well. And in week 3, he doesn't really find much room on the ground, but salvages it with a touchdown. So Brian Robinson has been kind of a workhorse, man. Like I said before, this is one of my thumbnails for one of my videos. He's going to be a workhorse running back, bro. You need to go out and get him before it's too late. I made this before the season, so if anybody did watch that and made a move, you're probably feeling pretty nice right now. So yeah, as I mentioned, the Commanders are the first team ever to not punt 2 games in a row. So that's first time in Super Bowl era that they have not punted 2 games. Their offense is absolutely humming. You have a guy like Jaden Daniels, and in that video, I discussed how having a mobile quarterback helps your first and second down backs. It helps your power running backs. Now, Austin Eckler has also been very effective because Jaden Daniels, he's an amoebic player, bro. He's new. He's a novel quarterback. He can run and he can move out of the pocket, but he's also a really good passer, bro. He's a very accurate passer. Very different than your like Anthony Richardsons, your Cam Newtons. To me, I said this before the season when I was hyping him up. He is like Lamar Jackson with an arm. Lamar Jackson fans, don't fucking come at me in the comments. Jaden Daniels is him, bro. He is Himothy. He is different, man. And Jaden Daniels, this offense is humming, bro. And Eckler is slightly annoying for Brian Robinson as a prospect. I will agree. Like Eckler does get, not only does he get a decent amount of work, he actually looks really good in the work that he does get. So I said in one of my videos that I think Eckler is cooked, and I think it's going to be really Brian Robinson dominating. But Eckler looks good, bro. So I definitely had some schadenfreude when he got injured. I was like, hell yeah, Eckler's down. Fucking, this should be workhorse role moving forward for Brian Robinson, at least for the next week, bro, because he's got a concussion, so he's going to be out. Basically, I think Washington's really going to surprise people. I think this offense is going to continue being consistently in scoring positions, bro. I mean, we saw they didn't punt for 2 weeks in a row. That's what we like to see. I would say buy him now, bro. That's my takeaway. Buy him now before you get that 2 touchdown, 25 fantasy point game. It is coming. He's going to piece it all together. He's going to get the yardage. He's going to get the touchdowns, as we see here. He's going to have a week like week 2 where he also gets into the end zone, and you're going to fucking win your week because of it. And you're going to be super stoked. And here are some previous trades that I have found, including Brian Robinson. Quality's a little shaky, my bad. Nico Collins and Brian Robinson for CeeDee Lamb and Zamir White. I like the Brian Robinson side. Essentially, you're taking a bath, or this guy's taking a bath at running back, right? Like he's basically downgrading at wide receiver, yes. So he's giving up CeeDee Lamb. That's essentially all he's doing in this trade, right? Like Zamir White is basically he's waiver wire fodder. That dude is fucking trash, bro. I do not want Zamir White on any of my teams. And he's getting a starting top 12 running back and a top 6, top 7 wide receiver in return. And he's giving up is CeeDee Lamb. Perfect. AJ Brown and Brian Robinson for Breece Hall. Absolutely perfect. You can even make the case that AJ Brown for Breece Hall straight up is a good trade. Maybe, yeah, you're tearing down, like, you know, RB1 for wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 5. I don't know, however you view AJ Brown, but you're getting a top 12 running back in return, bro. He is still not seen as the value that he provides. Here's another one that I really liked. Devontae Smith and Brian Robinson, and you have to give up Amon-Ra. So basically, it hurts giving up Amon-Ra, but you get a guy like Devontae Smith who's going to be playing that slot role in a Kellen Moore offense. We love it. He should be like a top 15 wide receiver rest of the season, and then you get a top 12 running back, bro. I know it seems like he's just a fucking, like a cheap add-on. Oh, he's maybe a top 36 RB. Nah, bro. Brian Robinson's going to be top 12 moving forward. A couple more trades here. I mean, these I didn't really designate who I liked more. DJ Moore and Jordan Mason for Michael Pittman and Brian Robinson. That's kind of rough because I don't like Pittman. If you can get a different piece there, right? Like if you can give up Mason and DJ Moore and get Brian Robinson plus maybe a better wide receiver like a Devontae, that I like. Moving on to the next guy, it is Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason is a tough one, bro. Basically, a lot of news has come out since I started researching this video. And CMC went to Germany. And Germany is not known for many things. They're definitely not known for their humor or their food, but they are known for having some of the best science and doctors in the world. So CMC goes to Germany to get his Achilles checked out, supposedly to get some injections, and he can get a higher dose of a particular injection that he needs. But the takeaway or the report that came out after CMC came back, or after his Germany trip, was this motherfucker might be out a couple months, bro. Like 1 or 2 more months from today, right? So he's already been on IR for 3 weeks. It looks like we're going to be extending that into probably week 10 plus. So that makes Jordan Mason a very interesting trade candidate. Yeah, man. So CMC might be cooked this year. If he returns, it'll be after week 10, after the bye. Deebo Samuel should be back in a few weeks, which I think helps Mason. Now, you can make 2 arguments, right? You could say that having more offensive weapons on the field is going to hurt Mason. But I disagree. I think in week 1, when we had like a full 49ers team, we saw that Mason dominated, bro, because that's when the offense hums the most, right? Like missing George Kittle really affects their run game, and missing Deebo Samuel affects their offense as a whole. Like they weren't getting, their offense wasn't as hummy against the Rams. Like I know Juwan Jennings got like 3 passing touchdowns, and maybe you divide that up among, Jordan Mason, fucking maybe Deebo gets one, maybe Ayuk gets one. So I think better days are ahead. He is the number 1 in the NFL in most missed tackles forced among running backs. I think that's kind of insane considering this dude's like a bench piece, right, going into the season. Basically, he's got 19 missed tackles. Devin Singletary and Ramondre are 17 and 15 at number 2 and number 3. Now, what does that mean, right? Like number 1 in missed tackles, that puts him among these guys. But these aren't the top performing fantasy options, right? Like Devin Singletary, Ramondre, they're performing well, but they aren't the top performing. So is this really a metric that we care about that much? I think yes. I think it just represents, or it lets us know that this dude's actually a good running back. Like in space, he can actually make dudes miss. Unlike fucking DeAndre Swift, man. Oh my dude, I might mention DeAndre Swift in every video moving forward this season. But the problem with Mason is that he gets 0 receiving work. So my question for you is, can you flip him for a top 10 running back that does get receiving work? If you can package him in a trade where you get like, a Bijan or something, and maybe you give up like a wide receiver 2 with Jordan Mason, you get like a Bijan. I think that's something that I'd like to do. But basically, the thesis or the takeaway is that Mason guarantees you top 10 production until CMC's back. That is about a playoff spot, considering where you drafted him. As long as you didn't like botch your other draft picks and you didn't just, turn into a complete cone for all your other draft picks, you're probably going to be guaranteed a playoff spot with Jordan Mason. So I would only sell him if you can get a season-long producer, somebody that's going to be, top 10 potential from week 1 through week 17. Otherwise, it's just he's too valuable of a piece for too long of a period, right? Now that we know it's going to be like potentially 2 months from now that he's going to be starting, that's 8 weeks. That's maybe you win 6 of those weeks because you have a guy like Jordan Mason, right? As like your flex play. That's the part that's crazy about Jordan Mason, that he's probably a flex play for you unless you fucking drafted DeAndre Swift like I did. But anyway, let's look at some trades. Rashee Rice and Jordan Mason for Jamar Chase. So this is one where it's like, all right, I'm going to sell high on Jordan Mason. I'm going to get a, absolute top 3 wide receiver like Chase. Now, this is kind of a tough one because I think Rashee Rice and Chase could go toe-to-toe in points this season, just seeing how involved Rashee Rice is. And you're basically getting Mason for free at that point. Like, yeah, you're probably cheering down from Chase, but this is a trade that I do like in Jordan Mason's favor. It's Christian McCaffrey, Wandle, and Jordan Mason for Najee and Nico. So the reason I like this is that you're basically solidifying the 49ers backfield through the season. So you're getting CMC and Mason. Now it sucks giving up Nico, but I don't feel too bad about giving up Najee because it's just you're going to be able to start Mason or CMC all year. Najee's going to keep getting you 7 fantasy points every week. There'll be 1 week where he has 15 because he falls into the end zone. But for the most part, I think Najee is somebody that you kind of have to start him because you have him and you know he's going to have like starting work and starting workload. But you don't feel confident. You're not like, fuck yeah, I'm going to win my matchup because of Najee Harris. While with Jordan Mason, he's definitely got like matchup winning potential. I know Nico also has that, but I don't know. I just think running backs are a little safer at the moment, especially a 49ers running back. Nico Collins, we are seeing some issues with the Texans offense. I know they're feeding Nico, but that's one that I like. Anyway, next trade that I do like, Kyren Williams and Blake Corum for Mason, Pickens, Brock Bowers. I do like the Kyren Williams side on this. So this is a situation where I'm selling high on him. Like being able to get Kyren, who's like a top 5 running back moving forward. This is where you're definitely getting enough value back. Mason and Hunt for CMC. This one I liked until yesterday's news, but basically you're giving up 2 temporary pieces for CMC, who's a league winner. I would only make this trade if I have so much depth at running back, and Jordan Mason is I'm having a hard time putting him on my team. If you hit big and you have like Breece Hall, maybe you hit on like a Kenneth Walker, maybe you hit on a Malik Neighbors at your flex, and you just can't put Jordan Mason in. That's when I would make this type of trade. It's like, all right, let me solidify that league winning guy later in the season. Couple more trades, Steele and Mason for Brandon Ayuk. That's fine if you're really struggling at wide receiver and you have a lot of running backs. Pittman and Brian Robinson for Mason DJ Moore. I love this trade just because I think Brian Robinson, as I mentioned, is top 12 moving forward. And Michael, actually, I fucking take that back, dude. I'll take the DJ Moore, Jordan Mason side. I'm so off Pittman. This should be a green check mark over here. Schultz and Mason for Swift and Strange. Fucking love it, dude. Swift, I mean, you're upgrading at both positions, so I think that's a taco league, right? This dude is no pulse. Whoever made that trade, Mason for Dobbins and Hubbard, basically all right, Chuba Hubbard, a temporary piece for Jordan Mason, a temporary but longer piece. Like you're gonna get him for 2 months, as I mentioned, and you give up J.K. Dobbins, who has a brutal schedule ahead of him. So you're basically solidifying like a top 12 or top 7 RB for the next 8 weeks, and you're giving up 2 dudes who. One of them will be unstartable very soon, and one of them is going to have a brutal schedule moving forward. So you're basically guaranteeing this is like a trade you make if you're like down bad. Maybe you're like 0-3 and you need wins now. This is when I'd go after a guy like Jordan Mason. All right, next guy is Carson Steele. Tough one because Kareem Hunt was recently activated from the practice squad, but basically his perceived value is still really low, right? Like people view Carson Steele like he's worth 30 fab bucks. Like they don't view him like he's a legit like draft capital piece that they sunk value into and that they're going to be starting him all season. But basically, he's going to be the starter for the next 6 to 8 weeks. He's going to get 15 touches per game, in my opinion. And he's going to have goal line equity and touchdown upside. I think Kareem Hunt is going to maybe impact his ceiling. I don't think Carson Steele is going to be like getting every goal line attempt. You're going to be getting all the rushing attempts. But I think Carson Steele is going to be the main guy on most early downs. Kareem Hunt's going to be like a change of pace. Maybe he'll come in for a drive, like in the second, late first quarter, come in for another drive, early third quarter, stuff like that. And the only issue with that is that CEH is off IR soon. So here's my takeaway. Here's my thesis. If you could sell Carson Steele for a lot, if you can get a package, right? If you can include him and he's perceived as maybe the Pacheco owner, maybe the Pacheco owner's like 1-2, 0-3. And he just needs some dudes to start, and you can tier up. That's when I'd make this trade. So here is a couple examples of some trades. DeAndre Hopkins and Carson Steele, and you get Brandon Ayuk. That's easy, bro. You're selling high on DeAndre Hopkins, who just popped off for 1 week, and you're selling high on Carson Steele, who's getting, a lot of work, but it's not the highest value stuff. And you're getting a guy like Brandon Ayuk, who's like, top 10 potential, right? I keep saying everybody's top 10. I'm running out of fucking players, but like, you get my point, right? Carson Steele and Rico Dowdle for Isaiah Pacheco. This is one if you're loaded at running back and you're down for a late season, shot. If you're hurting bad at tight end, Steele for Bowers. I love it. Steele and Mason for Brandon Ayuk. Kind of a wash in my opinion. You're losing 2 potential starters for 1. Steele and Jackson Smith for Cooper Kupp. This is a perfect example of a sell high. You're basically taking Carson Steele and you're getting a league winner, right? Cooper Kupp, when he comes back, if he can just stay healthy, I know that's a big ask because he already got injured once this season, but I do think it was a fluke injury, bro. Like, I think anybody gets injured the way Kupp was tackled on that play. You guys got to go check that out. But yeah, you're giving up Smith and Jigba and Carson Steele, those are two, a waiver wire pickup and a 9th round pick. I know JSN has looked nice this season, but he's still like a late round pick. Still going to have weeks, as we saw last week, where he really wasn't that involved. And you're getting a Cooper Kupp who's a bona fide league winner. That's easy dub. Jameson Williams and Carson Steele, you're selling high on Jameson Williams and his involvement. You're getting a dude who has shown that he can do it over a course of a season. I know Mike Evans is struggling right now, but that's a perfect buy low candidate. Yeah, a couple more trades. Let's see. Any of these are good. Anytime you can get CeeDee Lamb and it includes these types of dudes, I think I would do it. It sucks giving up James Cook, but again, if you're stacked at RB, moving up from Pickens to Lamb is absolutely crazy. Yeah, that's Carson Steele. Next guy on the list is Rachaad White. You guys know, dude, I hate me some Rachaad White, bro. I'm about to go in on Rachaad White. Anyway, he lives rent-free on my YouTube channel. He's in every video I mention how fucking bad he is. He sucks. Sell him now before he completely has zero value. He's basically like Cum Rocket, like Safe Moon, like Dogecoin. They're at their high and they're plummeting. You want to sell them, you want to get off the ship. I know it's at a loss. I know you draft him in the 3rd round because you're bad at fantasy. Sell him now because he's going to lose his job. They already said they're going to get Bucky Irving more work. He earned it. Please just sell him for whatever you can. If you can get any of these names, like I don't even need a C. All right, so I circle this one because this is Gibbs, White, Hopkins. For me, Rachaad White is a waiver wire. Like, pretend he doesn't even exist. It's basically Gibbs for Rice and Kenneth Walker, and then you're giving up DeAndre Hopkins, who I also think is going to be unstartable. Like, you're never going to feel confident starting him. So this is the perfect trade, bro. This is an absolute fleecing. Joe Mixon for Madison and White. These are, like, as I mentioned, Madison probably has more value than White going forward. And you're getting Joe Mixon, a bona fide, like, top 15 running back rest of the season. Sell him now while you can get some value. I'm not going to waste too much time on Rachaad White. If you guys are going to come at me in the comments, let's go, dude. Bring some boxing gloves, bro. We can duke it out. Kyren Williams is the next guy on the list. Kyren Williams was my guy for me. Somebody that was super high on before the season. He's been kind of ass when it comes to efficiency. So 18 for 50 and a touchdown in week 1. Gets some receiving work, 3 for 4. Kind of bad. A little bit of alarm bells, like, oh man, he's not looking too good. Then goes 12 for 25, bro. He's like, hold my beer if you thought my yards per carry were trash in week 1. But he gets a little more receiving work, salvaged it. Has a very similar production. Week 3 against San Francisco, pops the fuck off. The entire offense was built around him. He goes 24 for 89 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Catches one, does a fucking somersault over a defender, gets into the end zone, receiving as well, so he gets 3 total touchdowns. 31 fantasy points, shows us what's possible. And this is against the San Francisco 49ers, keep that in mind. Brutal little schedule moving forward. You have Chicago and Green Bay, then a bye, so it could be tough sledding moving forward, but his snap share is just off the charts, dude. McVay is a dirty liar. He's not going to be returning punts. He's a workhorse. Corum is, I don't even know if he's suiting up. I don't even know if he's in the building. He's a top 5 running back, bro. The problem is that he has injury risk. So considering the fact that he has injury risk, considering the fact that his metrics are kind of poor, right? His expected yards per carry, all that stuff is not very good. The fact that he's a part of this type of team that loves him and they use him as a workhorse and they will use him as much as possible when they need touchdowns and they're down and they're losing. They look to Kyren Williams, bro, especially while Kupp and Puka Nacua are out. So I would only trade him in the rare situation that you can get a Breece Hall, a Bijan, a Saquon, maybe even a Henry. But I would say that if you're going to get a guy like Henry, you're tearing down for Henry. So keep that in mind. So you should be getting Henry plus a piece, in my opinion. Now, maybe you wait on that because Henry at the moment is kind of high valued after what he just did. So maybe you don't make this trade yet. But I would hold tight on Kyren Williams for the most part, unless you can get one of these top guys. Or if you're really struggling at wide receiver, you can get like, a CeeDee Lamb, a Chase, a Justin Jefferson, these like top players. So here's some trades that I really liked, including Kyren. Devontae Adams, Juwan, Kyren for Rashee Rice and Travis Etienne. I love this. I think Etienne to Kyren is a big upgrade, and Rice to Devontae is a small downgrade. You can even make the argument that Devontae outscores Rice rest of season, especially if Devontae Adams gets traded. And then you get Juwan Jennings, who's a nice fill-in starter for the next couple weeks. Kyren for Garrett Williams. Kyren for Garrett Williams any day of the week. Garrett Williams just doesn't look very promising. I know that Garrett Wilson's at his floor right now, but I think Kyren Williams, like, moving forward, is going to be very good. So Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jerome Ford for Deontay and Kyren Williams. This is where I think he's selling. Do I still think this? Is he selling high on Kyren here? I think the fact that you're getting Amon-Ra and Ford, who's going to be a nice starter for the next, 6 weeks or so, I think it's worth it. I think Deontay Johnson, you're selling him at his absolute peak. You're selling Kyren at his absolute peak. And being able to get a guy like Amon-Ra, who honestly hasn't been performing very well, but is still like the wide receiver, 8 or 9 on the season? Wide receiver 10 with 2 good weeks back to back. And he hasn't really had those crazy weeks yet. Kyren Williams for James Conner. Easy Kyren Williams there. James Conner, we saw what's possible when the Cardinals don't look very good. Conner doesn't look good. He's really a game script dependent running back similar to Derrick Henry. Darnell Mooney and Kyren Williams for Nico. I love it. Basically, Nico and Kyren are a wash, and you get a nice flex play on top of it. So those are some trades, man. Those are the running backs that I do like. I hope you guys like this video. I hope you got some value from it. I would really appreciate a like and a sub, man. Trying to hit 1K subs, dude. We're on the road to 1K. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.